Welcome to Fox Talks Business Podcast with your host, Tanya Fox. Tanya has been an entrepreneur for over 20 years, owning retail, service, and franchise. She holds no punches and is never afraid to talk about the nitty-gritty. Together, you'll explore the good, the bad, and the motivational of business life, turning obstacles into opportunities and failures into successes. So grab your favorite drink and let's have some fun. Here's your host, speaker, crafter, and collaborator, Tanya Fox.
So thank you so much for joining me today, Michelle. I'm so excited to chat with you about your new book and all of the stuff that you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Tanya.
So give a little bit of history on sort of how you got to where you are today.
Sure. So I've always been an entrepreneur. I've always owned small businesses in very different verticals. And I actually got into franchise sales, franchise consulting, franchise development, and was a partner to different franchisors. And I kept having so many buyers asking me for existing businesses. And I kept saying, no, we don't have existing businesses. We have startups. And I'm like, I need to stop saying no. I should be saying yes. You know, I'm all about law of attraction. And so really that's what led me into starting my mergers and acquisitions firm nearly 20 years ago. Personally, I've sold 500 businesses. My firm has sold altogether a little over 1,000 businesses. And I learned very quickly that what Steve Forbes says is true. 8 out of 10 businesses will not sell. 80%. That's a really startling statistic for baby boomers who are trying to plan their exit. And so I learned a long time ago that if I don't fix them, tweak them, grow them, put them on a build to sell model, then I'll starve to death and they'll end up exiting poor.
Right.
So I really specialize in buying, selling, fixing, growing companies. I'm a mergers and acquisitions master intermediary, senior business analyst, and a bunch of other acronyms behind my name. And I buy businesses, flip them. I partner with business owners as well, investing my time, resources, capital, core competencies, and put them on a build to sell program.
And with all of that experience, of course, came the book that, of course, we see behind you, Exit Rich. Let's talk a little bit about what can people expect out of that and just some ideas that you give in that book that people really need to start thinking about.
Sure. So Exit Rich is endorsed by Steve Forbes, and Steve Forbes is the one that says 80% of businesses don't sell. Steve Forbes says Exit Rich is a gold mine for entrepreneurs because they leave way too much money on the table when they go to exit their business. And Sharon Lechter is my co-author. I'm not sure if you heard of Sharon Lechter, but she wrote Rich Dad Poor Dad with Robert Kiyosaki. I think everyone's heard of Sharon Lechter. She's a CPA, financial literacy expert, and advisor to many different presidents. And she writes the Mentors Corner after each chapter. Plus, Kevin Harrington, the original shark on Shark Tank, wrote the foreword. So Exit Rich is not just about selling your business. Everybody thinks it's about just selling a business. It's really not, because most owners have not built a sellable asset. So the first half of Exit Rich is all about, number one, planning your GPS exit model from day one of buying or starting a business. But so many business owners have been in business 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, and they've never had planned their exit. So it's all about planning your exit now. It's also about going through the seller sanity check, determining what's your beginning strategy, because once you exit, I have to sit down with my clients and really help them figure out what they're going to do next. Because if we don't help them plan a beginning strategy, they'll never move forward with their exit strategy. So there's exercises in there for sellers to take to really determine, when should I sell my business? What will I do after this? Is this the right time? And then it's also about the 5 types of buyers, and it's about building the infrastructure to operate your business on all 6 cylinders, what I call all the ST6Ps. If you build your business to operate on all 6 cylinders, you'll have a sustainable, scalable business that you can sell when it's time. And then the second half of the book is all about valuations, financials, normalizing the financials, figuring out what are the buyers' non-negotiables and negotiables, negotiating, due diligence, offers, closing. So the first half is about infrastructure, while the second half is about really getting your business to the closing table.
And I think that there's so many people that, start their business, are really successful in it. But like you said, they don't think of, now is the time to plan, how do I want to get out of this business? They just kind of keep working through. And so talk to us a little bit about some of the strategies that they can use, or some of the things that they can, start thinking about building that company that's really going to be worth selling.
Yeah. So let me take you through the GPS exit model. Sound good?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So when you want to drive somewhere in Canada, what do? You pull out your phone, you go to Google Maps, and what do you plug in?
Yeah.
What do you plug in?
Yeah, the Google Maps. Yeah. Or the
yeah,
address.
But what do you plug in? The address, the destination. Yeah. If you don't plug in a destination, what happens?
You don't get directions for anything.
You don't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Same thing with business owners. Business owners don't plan to fail. They fail to plan. Business owners never think about their destination. They never think about their end game. So I work with my clients to really think about, what is my end game? What is my destination? What is my desired sales price? And business owners need to pick a number, because what happens is business owners come to me and say, Michelle, I want to sell my business for $10 million. And their cash flow is $50,000. And I'm like, how'd you come up with 10 million? And they're like, well, that's what I need to retire on.
Right.
Well, that's what I need to put 5 girls through college and pay for 5 girls' weddings. It's not about the value of their business. So what I'm trying to do is change the mindset of business owners and get them to think about the value of their business, because buyers don't care about what you need.
Right.
Buyers care about the value to them. So that's why we got to be proactive and figure out what you really want to sell your business for. So let's say you want to sell your business for $20 million. Let's just pick a number. And everybody gets hung up on the number. You can always adjust your sales along the way. You don't have to stick to that number, but let's say 20 million. Now, what does the GPS exit model need to know? Where you're starting from. Right. What is your current evaluation? What is your business worth today? And in America, most business owners have never had their business evaluated. I just met with a gentleman that's been in business for 40 years, never had a business evaluation. They don't think about getting business evaluations until they want to sell their company. That's wrong. That's financial suicide. I mean, we go to the doctor once a year to get an annual physical checkup to make sure our heart's still ticking and we're still kicking. We drive a car to the mechanic to get an annual tune-up, but we take the most valuable asset and we don't get an annual valuation checkup. That's financial suicide, because there are events that increase valuation and events that decrease valuation. This pandemic is a perfect example of that. So really, really, really important to get an annual valuation checkup. Who do you get those from? Everybody asks me. Not your CPA. Because CPAs don't really know how to value businesses for sale. They really don't. You really need to align yourself with a mergers and acquisitions expert that knows how to value synergies, not just value the financials. Okay, big difference. So let's say you want to sell for $20 million. That's your desired outcome, your desired sales price. And let's say you're currently worth $5 million. Now, what's the GPS exit model need to know? Needs to know time frame. What's your time frame? Let's say you want to do this in 10 years. Now we have a start of a plan. Now you need to know, well, who are my buyers going to be? Now notice, Tanya, I said buyers, not buyer.
Right.
Because sellers come to me all the time and say, Michelle, I just need you to represent me with this one buyer. And I'm like, nope. And I go, what do you mean nope? And I go, the likelihood of that one buyer closing on the sale of your business is slim to none. You're going to go through all this due diligence. We're going to do all this work to put everything in the data room. And that buyer is going to fall apart and you have no backup buyers.
Right.
And then we got to start marketing. So we're going to market at the same time and bring backup buyers. Plus, how can you maximize value and create competition with a party of one?
Right. They're not going to up their bid against themselves.
Exactly. So there's 5 types of buyers. The first type of buyer is first-time buyers. 90% of buyers are first-time buyers. This is Canada too. First-time buyers don't buy multi-million-dollar companies. They buy coffee shops, restaurants, dry cleaners. And then you have the second type of buyer, which is turnaround specialist. Turnaround specialists buy distressed assets. They don't buy multi-million-dollar companies. Then we have the third type of buyer, which is PEGs, private equity groups. Private equity groups in Canada and the United States buy based on platform and add-ons. A platform is, let's say they want to get into food manufacturing. They won't even consider your business unless you have at least $3 million in EBITDA. EBITDA is earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. So let's say they want to do an add-on. They want to buy smaller food manufacturing businesses. They will consider add-ons for under $1 million in EBITDA. Make sense?
Yep.
Fourth type of buyers, strategic / competitors. They typically will pay the highest multiple because they're buying synergies. They're buying synergies that will help catapult their current business to the next level, such as contracts, patents, trademarks, databases. And then they also take advantage of economies of scale. And so they can decrease overhead. Plus, they look at infrastructure, what infrastructure they could cut to decrease overhead.
Right.
The last type of buyer are your sophisticated serial entrepreneurs. They're industry agnostic. They chase EBITDA. They chase cash flow. So those are the 5 types of buyers. Then you need to reverse engineer your plan and say, okay, if I want to sell for $20 million and I'm worth 5, where's my gross revenues need to be? Where's my COGS, my operating expenses? Most importantly, where's my EBITDA need to end up to sell for that price? So your EBITDA is going to have to end up anywhere between 4 to 5 million to sell for 20 million based upon the synergies you have. Then you have to ask yourself, what are these buyers looking for? What is their buying criteria? And how do I build my business to meet their specific criteria? How do I build those synergies that they're willing to pay top dollar for? And then the last component is why. No, nothing really gets done without a powerful why.
Yeah.
If it was easy to sell a $20 million business, everyone would be doing it.
Right.
So that's a GPS exit model. Sounds simple, right?
Well, and I think it's so true that there are, like you said, there's a lot of businesses that they just don't think of that, right? Because they're running the day to day, it's going well.
Yep.
They're making money off of it. So they're going, yes, one day I might want to leave, but not right now. But I love the points that you gave because it's important to think about that, not only so that you can look and go, this is how much I want to end with. So I need to start upping my game because like you said, you don't want to get to the end and then be like, oh, well, I want 10 million and have somebody go, you're like worth 2.
And that's exactly what happens every time because business owners don't think about selling their business until a catastrophic event occurs. Internal or external, internal or health issues, partner disputes, partner death, divorce, death of a spouse, owner's death, or this pandemic that we're in. And that's the worst time to try to sell your business is during or burnout. That's the last, you don't want to sell your business when you're burned out. You don't want to sell your business when it's not doing well. You don't want to sell during a catastrophic event because you're not going to maximize value. You're going to end up selling for pennies on the dollar.
Right. Which at the end of the day, when you've spent that much time is the exact opposite of the whole idea. It's the whole idea why we build these businesses is obviously to retire off of them, hopefully.
This should be your nest egg, right? This should be your nest egg. The problem is we have to change the mindset of business owners because the mindset of business owners is, oh, this is my baby. I'll never sell my baby. No, your babies are at home. Go home, love them, kiss them, hug them. Your business is your most valuable asset. Treat it as such. You don't treat your financial portfolio asset, your stocks and bonds or retirement funds as your baby. You treat it as an asset. You buy and sell, when you should, right? Same thing with your business.
And I think it's that emotional, attachment, but that, like what you were saying, that people need to realize you can't sell your emotional attachment to this business because it has no value to the person buying it.
That's right. And, a lot of times business owners are like, oh, it's my legacy. And that's okay. That's your legacy. When you're selling larger businesses, depending upon how dependent that business is on you, you will be required to stay and retain some equity for a while. And some owners really like that because they're like, oh, this is great. I don't have to be 1,000% in charge. I can retain 20, 30% equity and, help grow my legacy. The private equity group can grow my legacy because they have much deeper pockets than I do.
Yeah. And I think too, speaking of legacy, is that sometimes what business owners do is they think, well, this is going to be something that I'm going to pass down to my kids without the forethought of sometimes the kids go, not a chance. Like, we don't want this.
It's not even sometimes, it's almost all the time now.
Yeah.
Businesses used to be passed from generation to generation, but less than 10% now of businesses are actually being passed on to the next generation, because you're right, the children don't want your business. They're
Right.
like, I don't want mom and dad's business. I want to go out and create my own masterpiece. You know, millennials, let me tell you, millennials are problem solvers. They're solution oriented. There are more millennials starting businesses now than ever before. So there's 5 ways to really exit your business. Number 1 is to pass it on to your children. Less than 10% will do that. ESOP, sell to your employees. Less than 10% will sell to their employees. And then the third thing is you can hire a manager and let them run your business, but that really doesn't relieve you from your company, because anything and everything can happen. They can embezzle from you. You know, 1 out of 5 owners get embezzled every single year. You know, there's
Wow.
billions and billions of dollars being stolen from business owners every single year. So that's probably not the best option. And then you could sell a percentage of your company. You know, most buyers will always want controlling interest, but you could sell a percentage. And then the last way is to sell 100%.
Yeah.
Or close your business, and you don't want to do that.
Well, it's not really beneficial, right?
But a lot of owners do that, Tanya. It's crazy to me. They're like, oh, I just can't do it anymore, and they'll close up shop, which makes no sense.
Well, and I think it's just, you know, like you said, not keeping yourself updated on, you know, what your business is worth, what you can sell it for. And I think that the overwhelm comes for people where they're like, I don't even know where to start to sell this. So it's just easier for me to close the doors. And that's why I'm so excited that your book is out, because this gives people a different way to, you know, really consider. The whole reason why you started this was obviously to get rich, you know, to be able to end, retire, do all of those things you want to do when you want to do them with that freedom. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, there's a lot of people that feel that stigmatism of, you know, well, I can't do this, or I can't say that I want to profit. I'm doing this for the better good. But I don't think there's anything wrong with profit.
No, I mean, most entrepreneurs go on business for profit.
Right.
Like, I want to make more than I'm making at my job, you know?
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about what people can expect, because you have some great bonuses for the pre-sale of this book. So talk to us a little bit about those, because I think people really need to hear about all of this stuff that they can get.
Sure. So the book comes out, Exit Rich comes out June 22nd. And we are doing pre-sales right now. So if you go to exitrichbook.com, not Amazon, exitrichbook.com, you can buy it on Amazon too, but all the bonuses are at exitrichbook.com. So for $24.79, which is less than Amazon, for $24.79, we will email you the digital PDF right away, immediately. So you can start reading Exit Rich now. You don't have to wait till June 22nd. And let me just give you a case study. We've been getting lots and lots of case studies, but a pharmaceutical owner called me the other day and said, hey, I printed out the digital book. I printed it out on ledger sheet. I'm using it like a workbook, like a giant workbook. And he says, I'm taking your 6 Ps and integrating it into my growth strategy and finally doing an exit plan. He said, I've been in business for years and never designed an exit plan. And he says, I want to sell between 30 to 50 million, and I want you to help me. He says, this is the best business book he's ever read. There's more strategies, techniques, and tips in there to build a sustainable, scalable business than he's ever heard before. He's like, I've been in business forever and I didn't know half of this stuff. So that's a great testimonial.
Yeah.
So for $24.79, we'll email you the digital download so you can start using it as your workbook today. And we will ship the hardcover to your doorstep for anyone that lives in America for no additional cost. Sorry, my Canadian friends, there's always additional shipping for outside the US. And then we will give you a lifetime membership into the Exit Rich Book Club, where there's video training and me going into the 6 Ps, taking deep dives and different strategies and techniques I've taught over the last 20 years. And then documents to operate your business and sell your business. So sample policy and procedure manuals, org charts, employee handbooks to sell your business, sample letter of intents. A lot of business owners don't even know what a letter of intent is. Sample purchase agreements, sample due diligence checklist, sample closing docs. All of these are there for your review and your download.
Wow, that's
And
fantastic.
yes, and you know what? If you went to your attorney to try to recreate these, it would cost you over $40,000.
Yeah.
And you can use them, but you have to take the Seiler Tucker name off. I had a lady email me a couple of days ago. She goes, "Can I use these templates?" I'm like, "If you remove my name, you can." She goes, "Oh, I forgot about that." So, and then the 30-day, we also give you a 30-day free membership into Club CEOs, which is an entrepreneurship mastermind. And we really ask those tough questions and get business owners to pivot so they can build that sustainable, scalable, sellable business, all for $24.79 at exitrichbook.com.
Yeah. That's incredible. And, I really love the document component to them, because I think that that's, what a lot of businesses, like you said, are missing, that they kind of go, I don't even know where to start on this. And you don't find that anywhere. I mean, it's so hard to find reliable information.
It really is hard to find reliable information. And you can go to 3 different attorneys and get different opinions and get different documents. You're like, oh my God, which one do I use? These documents were created from some of the biggest firms that do M&A in the world.
Yeah. So I want to talk a little bit about what the difference is, because a lot of people, might be out there listening and going, I'm at a point where I really want to sell. And there's a lot of different people that will come to them and go, oh, hey, I can sell your businesses. I mean, we see it all the time. You get real estate agents who are like, oh, I can sell it for you.
Oh.
So let's talk about what the difference is in your specialty and why people need to know that.
Well, I'm going to first say you should never hire me to sell your home, and you should never hire a real estate agent to sell your business. It is completely different skill sets. And to sell a home or to sell a commercial property is not near as complex as selling a business, not anywhere close. So it's like if you need heart surgery, you're not going to your dentist.
Yeah.
You never want to hire a real estate agent. And you're right. Not all brokers, not all advisors are created equal, just like not all attorneys are created equal. So it's really important. In Exit Rich, I have the top 20 questions you should ask before choosing an M&A advisor or a business broker. Business brokers sell smaller businesses like pizzerias, coffee shops, daycares, dry cleaners, and M&A advisors sell middle market, typically $10 million and up. Right. And there's a big difference, because selling a pizzeria is very different than selling a $70 million, manufacturing company. A lot of different nuances. You're dealing with a whole different echelon of buyers. So you got to look at your business and say, do I need a business broker or do I need an M&A advisor? Now, I have advisors and brokers on my team. So I do have brokers that take the smaller listings. I personally don't. I sell 10 and up. But you really want to ask, those questions. And then you need to ask, how much experience have you had? How long have you been selling businesses? I mean, I've been selling businesses over 20 years. How many businesses have you actually sold?
Right. And I think that's a really important question that a lot of people don't think about asking.
And in what industry? Now, I will tell you, it's not that important that if somebody's never sold a car dealership before, that you really need to hire somebody that sells car dealerships. Or somebody's never sold staffing business before, you have to hire somebody. Not really, because yes, there's differences in one industry to the next, but really the steps are the same. Right. The processes are the same. So you don't have to have an industry specific advisor. In fact, I recommend that you don't hire an industry specific advisor, because if you're trying to sell a staffing business and you only are going to an advisor to only sell staffing businesses, you're missing out on those serial entrepreneurs that chase EBITDA, because all they're going to be going after is staffing buyers that already have staffing companies. You're going to miss some strategics that maybe are not in staffing, but are a customer of staffing and they want to buy that because it will save them a ton of money. Am I making sense? You're also going to miss a lot of the PEGs that want to start a staffing platform. So it really does not make sense you don't need to go after a specific industry advisor, but you do want to know how much experience do they have, how many businesses have they sold, and how many verticals. Okay. Again, if they didn't sell in your specific industry, that's okay, because the processes are the same. Then the other thing is, Who determines budget on what you spend on my company? Because the owners determine. So if you're dealing with an agent, you want to make sure you have a conversation with the owner to make sure that you're going to get, a significant budget spent on marketing your business. And then ask, do you charge retainer fees? A lot of advisors, almost all advisors now, charge retainer fees. We don't. Not to say we never will. So don't listen to this podcast 5 years ago and say, oh, Michelle, you said you don't charge retainer fees. We don't currently charge retainer fees, and I never have in 20 years because we're results driven. But you want to know, do you charge retainer fees? And if you charge retainer fees, what do I get for that? The reason I don't charge retainer fees is because I think I should get paid once I've proven myself and sold your business. So we're results driven. And then you also want to know, do you even know what the 5 types of buyers are? And do you actually work with the 5 different types of buyers? Do you have a database of buyers? How many buyers are in your database? We have over 28,000 buyers in our database of all 5 types. Then you want to know, how do you evaluate businesses? What methods do you use? I guarantee you nobody uses the 6 Ps like we do. Nobody evaluates synergies like we do.
Yeah.
What's your success rate in creating bidding wars?
Right. Because that's a great position to be in.
Yeah. How many auctions have you ran? How do you run your auctions? How many buyers have you been able to bring to the table?
Yeah.
What is your closing ratio? I'm telling you, most advisors, brokers are less than 40% closing ratio.
Yeah. And I think these are all really important things to, that you wouldn't think about. And that's why I think it's so great that you have them in your book so that people can go, I never would have thought of that question, or that, and to spur that on. So,
and then also, what's the highest, what's the highest average price you've gotten your clients? I mean, we got a client, we got one client 126% more than the appraised price of the business because we found a synergistic buyer that outbid everybody else. Right. But you're right. These are questions you would never think about.
Yeah. So we'll make sure that we definitely, send people to your website so that they can find, the book. And there's, really, really great stuff all over your website. I was having fun watching all of the videos and everything like that. And I think these bonuses are really important for people, to have. And even if you're not at that mindset, just, get this book and get the knowledge of yourself so that you can start planning that exit, because you don't want to be working forever.
No, you don't. And we really didn't get into the 6 Ps. It's imperative that you build a solid infrastructure running on all 6 cylinders. The number 2 reason why businesses are not sellable, number 1 is because business owners don't plan their exit. Number 2 is because the business is the owner. Right. And owners have built a glorified job in which they go to work at every day versus a business that works for them. Buyers don't buy jobs, they buy businesses. So the first P is people. You don't build a business, you build people, and people build a business. So entrepreneurs need to focus on their strengths, hire their weaknesses, but you really need to go through the 6 Ps. And we have a chapter for each one in Exit Rich so that you can build that business that's sustainable, scalable. And when you're ready, you will have that sellable asset.
Yeah. Oh, I think that's just wonderful. Thank you so much for taking time to talk with us today. I'm so excited to, get my advanced copy as well, because I'm really excited to see all of those bonuses and, and just really set my own business, up for that moment when I am ready. I'm not ready yet, but I am one of those guilty ones who, haven't really made a concrete plan of how I want to get out.
Yeah. And do you have people? Do you have employees?
Yep.
Okay, good. Because I always say, if you don't have an assistant, you are the assistant.
Yeah. Yes, that's very true. Well, thank you so much for your time, Michelle. It's just been such a wealth of knowledge, and I'm so excited for other people to, really get this knowledge and this information. So I really appreciate you writing this book and giving so much to everybody.
Thank you. So that's exitrichbook.com. And then my main website is seilertucker.com.
We didn't even have enough time to cover a quarter of what Michelle offers in her book, Exit Rich. So I encourage you to head to our website at foxtalksbusiness.ca, Click on blogs on the left-hand side of the page. You will see this episode, all of the ways that you can find Michelle's book, as well as connect with her further. If you like to put a face to the name, you can always head to our YouTube channel at Fox Talks Business. And if you could take a few moments out of your time, wherever you love to listen to us, and leave us a review and a rating, we would be so grateful. So no matter what you're doing today, whether you're trying to enter or exit rich, make sure that you find time to have fun. Because as I always say, if you're not having fun, why are you doing it?